Hi, everyone. Welcome to another installment of Know Your Truck, where we give you the opportunity to learn a little bit more about our current Trocadero artists and other important collaborators as we chat with them in an informal setting. Today, we are talking with one of our most recent jewels in the Trocadero crown, the lovely Andrea Fabbri. Hi, Andrea.
Hello.
As I was going through just notes before we met, I just realized that Andrea joined us in October 2023, so
hmm
it marks his 1 year
One
anniversary.
year. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Time flies.
Yeah.
Andrea, let's just jump right in so people can learn a little bit more about you. Why
Let's
don't
do
you
it.
tell us a little bit about your background. Where do you come from? Maybe how did you come into like dancing or ballet before you learned about the Trocks?
Yeah, so I'm from Italy in a small city called Lugo. It's close to Bologna. It's about an hour away from Bologna. And I'm currently in my hometown, in my childhood home. So my parents still live here, and I've traveled a lot and everything, but when I'm on break, I still come back here. So Italy is my home. And my background, I started dancing in this little city in Lugo when I was 6. I started after watching Billy Elliot, the movie. Actually, I was so inspired by the last scene, especially. I love the Swan Lake with all the men, and I was into that. So I started ballet, I started breakdancing classes, and modern. I tried them all.
And
But I
did
stuck
your
with
parents
ballet.
were your parents supportive of it, or were they like, "What is this one doing?"
Very supportive, actually. I mean, I was trying other sports as well at the time, but I was very into the dancing and the music part of it. So I stuck with it, and they were always supportive. Thankfully, I'm very lucky. So, yeah. And then actually, I moved away from home very early on. When I was 13, I went to a boarding school near Venice
Mhm.
called Il Balletto di Castelfranco Veneto. And I was there for 2 years.
Mhm.
Before I moved to Florida, I went to Boca Raton at the Herod Conservatory for about 3 years. I graduated there in 2015. And after that, I went to Los Angeles Ballet as an apprentice.
Mhm.
And consecutively, I went to Estonian National Ballet for
Right.
6.5, 7 years before joining the Trucks.
And what made you decide go to the United States first before going back to Europe? Was it like you were trying to go into the US, or you were just like going through where auditions took you and stuff like that?
I think just the US always felt like the
Mhm.
big thing, the
Yeah.
grand thing to do. And I was lucky my director in my boarding school decided to audition me for the summer intensive of the
Mhm.
Herod Conservatory. I got in, I got to experience a couple weeks in Florida. And then when I got accepted to the school, I didn't really have a choice in my head. I was like, I have to go. Like,
Right.
when else am I gonna get an offer to move to Florida? And
Mhm.
for an Italian young boy, for me, it was like the best thing that could happen. So I
As a
decided to
dancer too, like doing what you
exactly
wanted
doing
to
what I
do.
liked. Yeah, it just felt right. It felt like a little
Mhm.
movie scene, I would say. A little, yeah. So it felt perfect at the time. So that's what I did.
So tell me, okay, so you've done training at home, moving to the US, continuing your training and
Yep.
professional development. Then you went into professional touring mode in the US as well as in Estonia. So how did you learn about the trucks? Like where did you see the trucks? How did you first hear about them?
I saw the trucks and hear about the trucks for the first time before all of this moving started. I was maybe like 10, 12 or something. I took a class with Raffaele, who's our ballet master. And I took a class. I watched the show of Trocadero. And
Well, we
then
were on tour. So in Italy you saw us.
in Italy, in
When we were in
Ravenna, yeah.
Bologna, was it when we were in
I
Bologna?
think it was in Ravenna.
Ah, okay, got it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and after that, when I moved to the city close to Venice, me and my friends used to watch YouTube a lot, and there was the DVD that Trocadero
Yeah.
filmed, in the 2000s, and we would watch that all the time after school, after ballet. We loved it. Paquita was our favorite,
Of course.
and we just always watched it. And I also found some emails from around 2012, so I was like 14, 15, of emails of me writing to Trocadero asking if I could audition or what was the way to audition for Trocadero. And
you
they
were
just
like,
replied,
please come back when you're of age. Thank you.
exactly, that was the response. So, and so I did.
And so you did.
Yeah.
Man, Lord Almighty, that's fantastic. Though, like, you know, because we're such a small company. I mean, people don't know that we're actually this tiny little company and we do everything, but we forget that we sometimes thankfully have that level of impact. So whenever we hear, especially our current dancers now that are young, that just say, oh yeah, I watched a video and I saw Bobby dancing and I thought it was, you know, greatest gift to mankind, and it still blows us away. So it's really, yeah, it's really great to hear that.
And it blows me away to be dancing with him now.
Yeah, I know.
To be dancing with Bobby now, and it's just surreal, to be honest. Yeah.
So when you're watching these videos, when you're like we and at home or just like a training student, did you ever think, like, were you like, I'm definitely gonna be with this cat on stage one day, or was that like a dream that felt like too far?
I think the fact that I was around so many other dancers boarding in this school, the thought was always like, I'm gonna get into a normal
Traditional,
the term traditional company and go on the ranks and do stuff like that. So I didn't even think it was possible for me to get in Trocadero. It just felt like something so far. Like I had steps to get to that, and like I don't know, I just never thought even of auditioning until I got a bit older. But I don't know, I was just so taken back and I was laughing so much watching the videos, and I was like, I think I would be good at that because I do it for free in my living room all the time. The comedy and like the girls' variations, like I knew them all. But besides that, I didn't really think it was something that I could reach in person, but I did it. So
and here you are now. So now you've been with us for a year, right? And you have had, contrary to other dancers that have joined the company in the recent past, you have actually had a professional career as a touring artist, as a touring ballet dancer. So you enter the company. Now tell us, what have you enjoyed about being a Troc so far? I'm sure there's a lot of good things and there's a lot of not good things, but so
like every job.
Yeah, of course. What has been most enjoyable?
I think so. I've never worked in a company with such few dancers where you really get to know everybody and you tour all the time together, hotels, everything. You're always with the same group of people, basically. So it amazes me how much you can get close to some people so fast. Because when I was in other companies, it would maybe take a little more. Everybody goes home after work and you don't really like sometimes hang out or things like that. Sometimes you don't even tour. So that's like a different part that like Trocadero does so much that you learn by doing it.
Yeah.
But I think it's the fact that it's just such few of us that you really get to know everybody and everybody's helping each other. And also just the fact of being a Troc itself.
Yeah.
It feels quite special. Sometimes I forget as well, but it's just because it's few of us.
You have the opportunity to really live it, though, right?
It's a special thing that
and we are really a lot like family, you know, like even though I don't go on the road as much anymore, I still, because I did it for so long with all of you guys together, it's like I think about that all the time, that like, and that's the good and the bad, like we are on top of each other for 300 years.
Yeah, but it is like a family in the sense that everybody has their place in the company as well, and like some people are more supportive than others, but the others can help you with the makeup and do some other things. There's the organizer, there's the person that knows where to go to eat. There's a lot of
the loud one, there's the quiet.
Exactly.
Yeah, and actually
that's the hyper,
you have to be a team player. It's what Tori always says, our director, that
Yeah,
you have to be a team player to pull through in the trucks. Otherwise, we're just so few of us.
it
Otherwise, you
will be
don't.
very hard. Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's special to be part of such a small group. So
yeah. I
that's maybe
think
the best thing.
I think the fact that you've had the opportunity to dance with other larger traditional companies allow you to make that statement, because most people just talk about like the makeup or the performing or the point shoes. So I like the fact that what you're saying is the most enjoyable thing so far is something that relates to our day-to-day life. And
Yeah, those were maybe my downfalls, the makeup and the point shoes, in the sense of I was used to sitting in a chair and getting the makeup done by someone else. The point shoes were never really a thing in my companies in the past. So those were things that I had to get used to really quickly. So I wouldn't say those were my favorite things, because obviously they brought some nerves and anxiety to them. So,
yeah.
but
And
it works out.
if the viewers don't know this, right? Because we keep hammering that we're just like a small operation here. The guys do their own makeup, right? Our
Yep.
Trocadero dancers do their own makeup.
And
So
in a pretty short amount of
in
time
a really short
before
amount of
the
time,
show.
they have between an hour and 30 minutes from the end of class before the performance starts to get a full face on, point
Yeah,
costumes, wigs,
the
merch,
tights.
like,
Yeah, everything. I mean, putting the pink
wow.
tights under the white tights. Yeah,
It's always exciting, very
it
exciting.
for sure is.
So, what would you say it's the hardest thing about touring? And for you, that's not necessarily. It could be about touring with Trocadero, or just touring in general. For since you have previous touring experience as well, what would you say is the hardest thing?
At first, it was the packing, meaning coming from Italy, being in New York for a couple of weeks for rehearsals, but planning ahead. What am I gonna need on tour? Where am I going? How's the weather gonna be? That was the hard part at first. Now, I don't know. It's kind of hard to find the hard part. It's maybe like the short time that we have to get ready before a
Mhm,
performance, things like
mhm.
that. The point shoes, because it's not what I was trained in. And it's
Yeah,
always something, it's going to be in my head like, I'm not good enough to do this. But it's not the point in Trocadero. So I think I make up for it with other things, my personality on stage, or it can be anything. But so I try not to focus too much on it, but it's kind of hard just because my dancer self always thinks of the negatives. So
perfectionist. Yeah, you. Everybody's a perfectionist, especially in
it's
the.
just something I'm not trained in. So I think about it a lot, and I have less experience in it or knowing what could go wrong.
Mhm,
So it's maybe that the
mhm.
difficulty in getting used to the stages and doing things for the first time sometimes. So
And so when we go on tour, and let's say the tour is longer than 3 or 4 weeks, because we sometimes go on tour for, these longer,
yeah.
very busy, very hard, very long tours. How do you, if anything, do you do anything special to like keep yourself zoned in mentally and maybe in shape mentally and physically? Like some people just need to go shopping, some people just need to like stay in and lay in the bed as if they're just
Yeah,
selling coffin.
I
What do
like
you
that
do?
second one. I like the second one. I like to wake up a bit later so that
Mhm.
when we start rehearsal and class in the afternoon, usually before the show, I feel like it's morning.
Yeah,
I kind of trick. mm,
yeah.
Otherwise, the day really feels really long. Sometimes we have shows at 9 p.m., 8 p.m. It can feel like a really long day. So I try to wake up around noon or 1
Mhm,
sometimes.
mhm.
Um, and then the day just feels normal. It feels like a
Normal.
normal going to class in the morning and rehearsing in the afternoon.
Mhm,
It tricks my head and it works for me. And I rest a lot. I don't do too much until the tour is over. So maybe the last evening I will do something after the shows are done, or the first day before the shows start. But nothing crazy. I like my downtime in the room with my roommate, the
mhm.
chilling. Yeah, that's the nice,
Yeah.
part.
It's funny what you say about like starting your day later, because that's something that I also learned with being with the company. Like from
Right?
a logistics standpoint, you want to get the day started really early. And I remember Tori always saying to me, like, the guys will always be catatonic in the morning because they had to have their peak from 8 till 11 p.m. So when that show comes down, you get to your room and you're still totally wired up.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you're exhausted, it's still going to take you 3 hours.
No, you go to bed a little later. So it's quite natural to wake up a little later as well.
Yeah, you have to do it. It's survival.
You have to.
So of the cities that you've been to on tour, what is your favorite city so far? And why would you say that's the case?
So I would say for me, Tokyo was one of the top cities we've been to for sure. It was my first time in Japan, seeing Japan ever. The culture was so different and so amazing. Everybody's so polite there. And it was a culture shock in such a positive way, like the most positive it could ever be. And Tokyo in general was amazing. Like it was like the movies. For what I did get to see, it was great. I also really like Greece. Greece was nice for the weather. We went to Athens recently, and I'm also a fan of like Greek mythology and things. So that was great to go to the Acropolis and walk around. You just see such beautiful architecture. For me, those were the maybe top two. Yeah,
and I would say also time in Greece as well. So
yes.
Greece. Great.
And I just found out I'm 5% Greek, so that was great. Yes.
Pulling on to your Greek area.
No, it was great in general. I've always been a fan of like Greek things, so it was a great city to be in. I would also say maybe Florida. When we went to Florida, because I was in school there, I got to see my old supervisors. They came with the new students at the Kravis Center, which is where we would go to see performances when I was in school. So it was a bit of a surreal moment. And so I would put Florida as well. I love Florida.
And the Kravis is a fabulous place too.
For sure. We always went there to watch the shows.
Fantastic theater. Has your family seen you perform as a Trock yet? I don't think
they have. Yeah, we came to Italy last December.
In the December.
They saw a couple of shows here.
Yeah. Great. Favorite role that you have danced or that you have seen the Trocks do and would like to have the chance to do? If what's your favorite?
Yeah, favorite roles, I would say, because there's a couple because of me, like always watching YouTube as a young child. Again, there's a couple roles that I've got to perform this year that I was idolizing as a young dancer before joining the company and everything, that felt surreal to perform, which is the Dying Swan, which happened not randomly, but surprisingly last December when we were in Italy touring. Something happened to a dancer and Bobby had to cover for someone else, and I got to do the Dying Swan. And I had little rehearsals, but it was so surreal. Then I got to do it more and more and more, and I got to really like enjoy it, not be stressed out about it. But so I got to do that a lot on tour, in the US tour last year. And then I would say Taglioni in Pas de Quatre, which I just premiered in Athens recently, 2 weeks ago.
It's a perfect role for you that time. We have the advantage of having so many different Trocadero dancers do that role is that everybody always brings in their persona and their comedy to it. But yours was quite special when I saw it, so I can't wait to see it live, my friend.
Thank you. It's also the pearls. I like to wear pearls sometimes.
The pearls everywhere,
it's surreal.
It really sets Taglioni up.
It was cool.
Thank you, Andrea. This has been most insightful. Don't go yet, because we're going to say goodbye to our viewers with a little bit of a video clip of you dancing, probably Patakat, actually.
Let's do it.
So people can see it. But before we say goodbye, I just want to remind the viewers that you can subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to be able to see a little bit more of what we're doing when we're on the road and some of these Know Your Trock interviews. You can also follow us on social media on our Instagram at Le Ballet Trocadero, Facebook Le Ballet Trocadero de Monte Carlo, and on our TikTok at the Trocks. And you can head over to our website, most importantly, at trocadero.org, where you can see the schedule of upcoming performances. You can see a newly added timeline with highlights of the Trocks 50-year history. And you can also see the listing of events and other activities around our 50th anniversary and beyond. So please make sure that you go to our website if you're so interested in seeing what the Trocks are up to. But most importantly, we are going to leave you with some footage of Andrea dancing a little bit of pas de quatre. We recorded this in a horizontal, vertical orientation because we do it for our social media. So sorry about that, but you'll still be able to see it. And yeah, I did have to show it to Andrea first to make sure that it was Andrea approved. But we look forward to having you join us in person for a live performance of the Trocks when we come to a city near you. Until then, thank you very much, Andrea.
Thank you so much, Isabel.
Thank you to our viewers, and come back and see us again. And until then, just keep on trucking, everyone. Don't go anywhere.